Imagine, if you will, a seismic shock. A single event that just completely ripped through the AI world back in January 2025.
Mhm.
It sent ripples, through Wall Street, Silicon Valley policymakers, even into the minds of curious people like you listening right now.
Right.
It challenged, well, basically everything we thought we knew about building advanced AI. Okay, so let's unpack this.
Yeah, let's do it.
Today, we're diving deep into DeepSeek. It's this Chinese AI company that kind of exploded onto the scene, reshaped the whole industry, really.
And what makes them so fascinating and maybe a bit unsettling is this paradox, right?
Exactly, that's the word. Paradoxical.
On one hand, you have this beacon of innovation, super efficient open source models, almost like an AI underdog hero.
But then, bam, at the same time, they're just mired in these really serious controversies: security, privacy, ethics. It's this constant tension.
It is a truly captivating story. DeepSeek really embodies both the huge promise and, frankly, the significant dangers of AI today.
So our mission, for you listening, is to dissect all of this. DeepSeek's rise, what makes their tech so efficient, the magic behind it, how it actually performs.
And critically, we have to shine a light on those massive risks. The security flaws, the privacy issues, the ethical questions. We'll try to connect it all to the bigger picture for you.
Because this story matters. It really does matter to you. If you're a developer, an investor, a policymaker, or maybe just someone curious about where AI is heading. DeepSeek forces us all to rethink things, ask some uncomfortable questions. It's a genuine game changer. Sometimes in tech history, you get these moments, just boom, overnight, everything changes.
Yeah, inflection points.
Exactly. And for AI, January 2025 felt like one of those, led by DeepSeek, this, well, relatively unknown Chinese startup at the time.
It wasn't just a new product. It was more fundamental. It
Yeah.
was like a repricing of AI itself, what it costs, what it means to build it. Hashtag 1.1, the market shockwave.
Okay, so here's where it gets really dramatic. DeepSeek's R1 model. It didn't just launch, it kind of detonated.
Right. The market reaction was immediate. And
Brutal.
Brutal is the word. In just a few days, the U.S. stock market lost over $1 trillion in market cap. Think about that.
it's staggering.
The NASDAQ dropped 3%. NVIDIA, the AI chip giant, worst single-day loss ever. $589 billion erased. This wasn't just a little dip, It was the market fundamentally reassessing the entire AI landscape. Serious anxiety.
And that reaction tells you so much. It wasn't just, oh, here's a new competitor. It challenged the core assumptions.
What assumptions exactly?
Well, the dominant idea was you needed endless cache for GPUs, massive data centers, OpenAI, Google. That was the model. Huge barrier to entry.
Right, the capital-intensive approach.
Exactly. And DeepSeek just smashed that narrative.
Yeah.
Seemingly out of nowhere, it showed maybe algorithmic efficiency could beat raw spending power.
A real shift in the global power balance, then.
Absolutely. It made everyone question if the big players, the proprietary models, were really the only way.
And, okay, while the investors were, hitting the panic button,
Yeah. Users and developers, totally the opposite. They were flocking to DeepSeek, the chatbot.
their free chatbot, yeah, powered by R1. It shot straight to #1 on the U.S. iPhone App Store, kicked ChatGPT off the top spot.
Which is incredible, displacing a giant like that.
It showed this huge demand, right, for powerful AI that was also cost-effective. People were hungry for alternatives, especially good ones.
It was a real phenomenon, and you heard Mark Andreessen call it.
AI's Sputnik moment.
Yeah, a perfect analogy, I think. Like the Soviet satellite launch in '57, it blindsided the U.S., shattered assumptions of tech dominance.
Ignited the space race.
Right. And DeepSeek did something similar for generative AI, challenged Western dominance, raised big questions about U.S. export controls on chips, showed a serious new player was on the scene. Hashtag tag 1.2, the central paradox and paradigm shift.
So, okay, DeepSeek arrives with this massive impact, but we keep coming back to this core tension, this paradox.
Yes, it's innovation versus risk, right? Exactly. On one side, you have genuine praise from scientists. State-of-the-art models rivaling the giants, but built for a fraction of the cost, using less hardware. That's impressive engineering.
Hugely impressive. A win for cleverness over cash, you could say. Like finding a cheat code.
Yeah. But then, the other side. Stark warnings. Security holes, aggressive data collection, those connections to the Chinese state.
It casts a long shadow. It's not just an underdog story, it's complex. It's the promise and the peril of AI, all wrapped up in one company. That's the paradox.
Okay, so this brings us to a really key strategic point. DeepSeek basically forced the AI industry to redefine value.
How so?
Well, it's not just about performance anymore, is it? The new currency seems to be trust.
Ah, interesting. Explain that.
That market crash in January, it was an attack on that old capital-intensive model. The idea that only giants like OpenAI or Google with bottomless pockets for GPUs and data centers could lead.
Right, they built this narrative of needing huge investment, justifying huge valuations.
And DeepSeek blew that up. They claimed R1 cost less than $6 million to train. Compare that to, what, over $100 million for GPT-4?
Astonishing difference. If they could do that, it made the incumbents' spending look maybe inefficient.
Exactly. It changed the whole strategic moat.
Yeah.
Suddenly, clever algorithms, efficient architecture that looked like the real advantage, not just throwing money at the problem.
So the takeaway for you listening, sheer capital isn't king anymore. Innovation, efficiency,
Yeah.
that's the real game changer now. It fundamentally reshapes the competitive field.
To really get DeepSeek, you have to look past the tech for a minute, look at the founder, the money, the whole philosophy. It's different.
Very different. It's forged this independent path, challenging industry norms, maybe even providing a new blueprint, though a risky one.
Yeah, at the center is Lian Wenfeng, not your typical Silicon Valley type at all.
No Stanford garage story here.
No, he comes from quantitative finance, high stakes, hyper-optimized trading. A math prodigy, master's from Zhejiang University, co-founded High Flyer hedge fund in 2015.
And High Flyer was successful.
Yeah.
Very. Managed around $8 billion, using AI to predict market trends. Really pioneering stuff in finance AI back then.
Okay, so that quant background, that must be crucial. That obsession with efficiency, data optimization.
Absolutely. It permeates DeepSeek's culture. His personal pivot to AI research started around 2021, and here's the key move. He bought thousands of NVIDIA GPUs.
Before the U.S. export controls hit China.
Exactly. Incredible foresight. People apparently thought he was a bit eccentric.
His partners?
Yeah, reports say they saw it as a quirky hobby, called him a very nerdy guy with a terrible hairstyle, with just a vague game-changer idea for his chip cluster.
Huh. But then he got serious.
Very serious. Launched DeepSeek formally in 2023, dedicated to chasing artificial general intelligence, AGI. That became the mission. And the funding model is just as unique in an industry constantly chasing VC money. DeepSeek doesn't.
No external investors at all.
None. It's entirely funded by profits from High Flyer, the hedge fund. The money for R&D comes straight from their AI trading algorithms.
Wow. That gives them incredible independence, doesn't it? No VC pressure for quick returns or commercialization.
Complete insulation. It allows them to play the long game, focus on that high-risk, foundational AGI research.
But does that independence have a downside? Maybe less accountability? Especially on those ethical or security issues we talked about.
That's a really sharp point. It cuts both ways. This long-termism, fueled by hedge fund profits and that quant efficiency mindset, lets them do deep research. Others might avoid, like, novel attention mechanisms, complex expert models.
Things that don't have an immediate payoff.
Precisely. But you're right, the lack of external oversight, no board demanding answers, no scrutiny from future funding rounds that could contribute to some of the documented shortcomings in safety and ethics.
So it's not just a different funding model, it's an entirely different philosophy, an alternative path, but maybe a riskier one.
Exactly. It fundamentally challenges the Silicon Valley blitzscaling model. Tag 2.3, the AGI mission and open source doctrine. And their mission is just huge, unapologetically ambitious AGI within our lifetime.
And they see LLMs, large language models, as the path to get there.
That's Liang Wenfeng's stated belief. This AGI focus drives everything, research, structure, everything.
And core to that strategy is this commitment to open source, right? Which feels counterintuitive sometimes compared to, say, OpenAI.
It does. They consistently release model weights, detailed technical papers. Liang calls it a cultural act.
A cultural act. Interesting.
His view is that a closed-source moat is temporary. The real advantage is knowledge, culture, the team. It's a bold stance.
What's the strategic purpose, then, beyond culture?
Well, two key things. One, it attracts top talent globally, people passionate about open research. Two, it fosters a collaborative ecosystem, hoping to accelerate progress towards AGI collectively. It's the opposite of the proprietary trend.
And that open philosophy seems to flow into how they hire, too.
Definitely. They prioritize passion, raw curiosity over just years of experience. Lots of young researchers straight from Chinese universities.
And even humanities grads. That's unusual.
It is. They believe diverse perspectives are crucial for building capable AI. It's refreshing. And they have this flat bottom-up structure. Less hierarchy, more idea flow.
Okay, so how do they actually do it? This state-of-the-art performance at bargain basement costs, it's not just one thing, is it?
No, not at all. It's a whole suite of innovations working together, a full-stack attack on the traditional costs of AI. Compute, memory, data, deployment. They've optimized everywhere. Let's pull back the curtain. Right at the core is mixture of experts, or MOE. This is key to getting massive scale without massive compute costs during inference.
Okay, break that down. MOE versus a normal AI model.
Think of a traditional dense model, like one super smart generalist. It uses its entire brain for every question, simple or complex.
Okay, sounds inefficient.
It can be. MOE is more like a team of specialized consultants. You have numerous smaller expert networks, each trained for specific tasks or data types.
Like one for science, one for history, maybe.
Exactly. And then a lightweight gating network. A router looks at the incoming information, a token, and sends it only to the relevant experts.
Ah, so it's not using its whole brain all the time.
Okay.
Just the right parts for the job. That feels intuitive, like our brains work.
Precisely. DeepSeek's version, DeepSeek MOE, takes this to an extreme. V2 and V3 have huge total parameters, 236 billion, 671 billion. That's the knowledge base.
Massive.
But for any single token, they only activate a small fraction, 21 billion for V2, 37 billion for V3. So huge knowledge, but low compute costs when running.
That's incredibly clever.
They've refined it too.
Yeah.
Fine-grained experts for super specialized stuff, plus shared experts for common knowledge.
Yeah.
It's all about efficiency. It's a direct attack on compute cost.
Yeah.
Elegant.
Okay, MOE tackles compute cost. Huge deal. But what about memory? That's another killer bottleneck, right? Especially for remembering long conversations or documents.
Absolutely critical.
Yeah.
Standard models use something called a KV cache. They store key and value vectors for every token in the input sequence to figure out what's important.
And that cache gets bigger and bigger the more context you feed it.
Linearly bigger.
Yeah.
It eats up huge amounts of expensive GPU memory, limits how much context the model can handle, like trying to juggle while memorizing an encyclopedia.
Okay, I get it. So how did DeepSeek crack that nut?
Their innovation here is called Multi-head Latent Attention, or MLA. It's very clever. Instead of storing the full big key and value vectors,
Yeah.
it uses low-rank factorization to compress them into much smaller latent vectors. Think of it like making a highly efficient summary or a compressed image file. You keep the essential info, but drastically reduce the size.
Wow. So MOE makes it cheaper to run, MLA makes it faster and able to remember way more using less memory.
That's exactly it. The impact is massive. MLA cuts the KV cache size by a staggering 93.3%.
93%?
Yep. This lets their models handle huge context windows up to 128,000 tokens, like a big novel on less GPU memory. And it boosts the speed, the generation throughput, by over 5 times.
So faster, cheaper, and with a better memory. This feels like they're fundamentally redesigning AI's building blocks.
It's truly transformative. MLA is the second pillar, attacking memory cost. It lets them see the forest of the trees.
Okay, compute, memory. What about the third big cost, data? Especially the expensive human-curated data needed to teach these models how to behave, how to reason.
Right, that's the third pillar, attacking the cost of data and alignment. Traditionally, after pre-training, models go through supervised fine-tuning, SFT. You feed them tons of high-quality examples written by humans. Very expensive.
Labor-intensive.
Hugely. DeepSeek pioneered a different approach for their R-series reasoning models. They minimize SFT and lean heavily on reinforcement learning, RL.
So less explicit teaching, more learning by doing. Trial and error, guided by rewards, like you said earlier.
Exactly like that. Their DeepSeek R10 experiment was groundbreaking. They trained it almost purely with RL, starting from a base model. It learned complex reasoning, like chain of thought, autonomously.
Just through trial and error.
Guided by reward signals based on whether it got the final answer right. A huge milestone, proving advanced reasoning can emerge without explicit human examples.
But did it work perfectly?
Not quite initially. R10 had issues with readability, language mixing, understandable if it only cared about the final answer. So for the production R1,
They refined it.
yes, a multi-stage pipeline.
Okay.
Chick cold start SFT with a small, high-quality dataset to fix coherence. Then massive RL, using a fancy algorithm called Group Relative Policy Optimization, GRPO.
GRPO.
Basically, a sophisticated trial and error that learns by comparing groups of potential solutions. Makes the model really good at math, code, logic. This RL focus slashes the need for expensive human data. Hits that third cost center hard.
Okay, smart compute, smart memory, smart training data. But these flagship models are still huge, right? How do they make that power accessible to everyday developers or smaller companies?
Good question. That's the final piece. Attacking the deployment cost. They use a technique called knowledge distillation.
Distillation, like concentrating the essence of something.
Exactly. You take a big, powerful teacher model like DeepSeek R1, have it generate a massive data set of examples with its reasoning steps included.
So the teacher explains its thinking.
Precisely. Then you use this rich, synthetic data set to train a much smaller student model. The student learns to mimic the teacher's sophisticated reasoning, but at a fraction of the size and cost.
Ah, so they package the power into smaller, cheaper versions?
Exactly. DeepSeek used R1 to generate 800,000 high-quality reasoning examples. They used these to fine-tune popular open-source models like Llama and Quinn.
And the results?
These distilled models, from 1.5 billion up to 70 billion parameters, show remarkable reasoning performance, way beyond their original base models.
So this is how they democratize access, making powerful AI available without needing a supercomputer. That feels like a fundamental shift.
Absolutely fundamental. It lowers the barrier to entry massively, enables innovation on a much wider scale. It's not just about building the biggest model, it's about making the power usable. Okay, so DeepSeek has rolled out a lot of models quickly. It can get a bit confusing.
Yeah, keeping track is tricky. Coder, V2, V3, R1.
Right. But understanding the lineage helps see their strategy unfold. From focused coding expertise to broad efficiency with the V-series, and then hitting peak reasoning with the R-series.
A clear progression. They really started hard on coding, didn't they? Seems like a smart place to begin. Structured, logical.
It was very strategic. Coding provides a clear, verifiable way to test AI capabilities. Their first DeepSeek coder came out late 2023.
Trained mostly on code.
Yep. 2 trillion tokens, 87% source code, models from 1B to 33B parameters. Right away, they hit state-of-the-art for open-source code models, put them on the map for devs.
And then Coder V2?
Mid-2024. That was a big jump. Introduced MOE to the coder family, expanded to 338 programming languages, huge 128K context window. Performance started rivaling GPT-4 Turbo, Claude 3 Opus on coding benchmarks. A real statement.
What about general models back then?
They also released the first DeepSeek LLM and some experimental DeepSeek MOE models. These were more like test beds, proving grounds for the MOE and other ideas that powered the later flagships.
So the V-series, this is where MOE and MLA really come together, where the efficiency magic starts to shine.
Exactly. The V-series is the maturation of those core ideas. DeepSeek V2 landed in May 2024. First flagship with both MOE and MLA fully integrated.
236 billion total parameters, but only 21 billion active.
Right. Showcase that massive efficiency gain. They also released DeepSeek V2 Lite, a 16B parameter version for the community to play with. Again, that open source angle.
And then V3, the behemoth.
Late 2024, DeepSeek V3. 671 billion total parameters, 37 billion active. Huge scale. Comes in 2 main flavors.
Base and chat.
Yeah. V3 Base is the raw pre-trained model. V3 Chat is tuned for conversation, RL aligned. That's the one you get if you call DeepSeek Chat in their API.
Was there a V2.5?
There was. An interim step, blending V2 Chat's conversation skills with Coder V2's coding prowess. Shows how fast they were iterating.
Okay, Coder for foundation, V-series for efficiency. R-series is about raw reasoning power, right? This is R1, the market shaker.
Precisely. The R-series is their push into the top tier of complex reasoning, logic, math, code. DeepSeek R1, January 2025. Built on V3 base, but trained with that special RL pipeline we talked about.
API identifier DeepSeek reasoner.
That's the one. Its defining feature, that explicit step-by-step chain of thought output, makes its reasoning super transparent. Developers love that. You can see how it got the answer.
And they've updated R1 since then, not standing still.
Definitely not. A big update.
Yeah.
R10528 in May 2025. Significant gains in advanced math, coding accuracy,
Right.
less hallucination. Got very close to top proprietary models like OpenAI's O3. Continuous improvement.
And the distilled versions.
Right, the distilled R1 model. Smaller models, Llama Quinn-based, 1.5B to 70B params, trained on R1's knowledge. Makes that reasoning power much more accessible, cheaper to run. Democratization again.
It really is a logical progression. Building blocks stacking up, anyone wanting the specs. Table 1 in our notes has the full lineage, the key details. Really shows the journey. Okay, benchmarks. They tell part of the story, the numbers part. But how good are these models really? We need benchmarks and real-world feedback, right?
Absolutely. It's a miss. Quantitative data plus qualitative experience. And when you look at DeepSeek versus the giants, OpenAI, Anthropic, Meta, you see a pattern. Targeted excellence. very strategic. Standard benchmarks give us a yardstick, however imperfect, and DeepSeek consistently performs well, often leading in its focus areas.
Look on general knowledge, MMLU.
On MMLU, DeepSeek v3 is right up there with GPT-4o, Llama 3.1, around 88.5% for all three. Very competitive.
But where does it pull ahead?
On the harder reasoning tests, MLU Pro, GPQA, the PhD level stuff, the specialized DeepSeek R1 really shines there. Scores like 84% on MLU Pro, over 71% on GPQA Diamond. That specialized RL training pays off.
It's striking how they dominate the technical stuff. Math and coding. That seems to be where DeepSeek really flexes its muscles, isn't it? Is that focus maybe sacrificing broader usefulness, though?
It's a fair question. It's often a trade-off. But yeah, math and coding are their forte, while others like Llama 2.1 or Claude 3.5 Sonnet are strong on math and GPT-4o on human-evil coding.
DeepSeek often edges them out.
Often, yes. Coder V2, and especially R1 0528, consistently top leaderboards like Live Code Bench, R1 hit 73.3%, or advanced math like AIM 87.5%, and math 97.3%.
So why this focus? Is it just about bragging rights?
It seems strategic. Dominate the hard, verifiable technical benchmarks. That builds massive credibility with developers, the builders. Win them over, and maybe the rest of the ecosystem follows. Classic disruption. Establish undeniable technical proof first.
Makes sense. And for the exact numbers, folks can check Table 2, General Reasoning, and Table 3, Math Coding in our notes. The comparisons are fascinating.
But maybe the biggest weapon in their arsenal, the price.
Ah, yes, the cost.
It's aggressively low. A direct result of all that efficiency work, MOE, MLA, RL, their API is dramatically cheaper.
How much cheaper are we talking?
Some analysis suggests GPT-4o can be around 30 times more expensive than DeepSeek v3 for similar usage. 30 times.
That's insane.
Even the powerful R1 reasoning model, while pricier than their chat model, is still just a fraction of what OpenAI or Anthropic charge for comparable reasoning.
So competitive or even better performance, radically lower price. That's the core disruption.
That's the primary driver of their market impact. It forces everyone else to react.
Okay, benchmarks and price are compelling. But what are actual users saying on Reddit, Hacker News? The real world.
Yeah, the qualitative feedback is crucial. And it paints a picture of something powerful, but maybe a bit rough around the edges sometimes.
How so? What's the good stuff?
Consistently positive feedback on coding and technical problems. Developers reporting R1 solving bugs that stump ChatGPT. That feels like magic when you're stuck.
I can imagine. And that chain of thought reasoning from R1. Praised for transparency, honesty, you see its work. Also, surprisingly good memory, creativity, nuance, and things like role-playing. So, powerful, transparent, but you said rough edges, quirky. I've heard words like unhinged.
Yes, the user experience isn't perfect. R1 is sometimes called unhinged, maybe overly creative or aggressive. While V3 chat can feel bland, sensible by comparison.
What kind of specific issues?
Things like very short or empty answers sometimes, replying as the user incorrectly, being stubborn, hallucinating facts outside his training data, struggling with really complex debugging or super niche topics.
So it's powerful, but maybe unpredictable.
Exactly. And this contradictory feedback highlights how subjective AI interaction is. Depends on the task, expectations, how you prompt it. What one person calls chaotic, another finds creative. It needs careful handling. Okay, now we have to turn to the other side of the coin. For all its technical brilliance, DeepSeek has this alarming history of failures: security, privacy, ethics, systemic failures.
A disconnect between the smart models and the not-so-smart implementation.
That's a good way to put it. It suggests a culture that prioritizes speed and performance over basic safety and trust. For anyone thinking of using it, it's not just about cost versus performance. It's a serious risk calculation, like you said before. A brilliant engine in a car with no brakes.
That's a stark image. So what specific security problems are we talking about? Minor bugs or fundamental flaws?
Unfortunately, they seem fundamental. Failures of basic cyber hygiene, not super sophisticated attacks. Like in January 2025, they had to halt new signups due to a malicious cyber attack. Their infrastructure seemed vulnerable.
Not a good sign.
Worse still, researchers found a publicly accessible, unsecured ClickHouse database. Exposed over 1 million sensitive records, chat histories, API secrets, even plaintext passwords.
Plaintext passwords. In 2025, that's negligent.
It's a massive red flag. Shows a real lack of care for user data. And the problems extend to their apps, too.
The mobile apps.
Yeah, independent audits found terrible flaws. On iOS, they globally disabled App Transport Security, ATS. That means sensitive data could be sent unencrypted over the internet.
Wow. What else?
Using week-old encryption 3DES with a hard-coded key you could just extract from the app, potential SQL injection vulnerabilities, and using anti-debugging tricks to hinder security analysis. Very suspect.
It sounds like they skipped Security 101. Basic stuff competitors sorted out years ago, just racing ahead without buckling up.
Exactly. And it's not just the infrastructure. The models themselves are vulnerable, susceptible to jailbreaking.
Bypassing the safety filters.
Easily. Studies by Cisco, Qualys Total AI found DeepSeek models failed to block any harmful prompts about cybercrime or misinformation in one test. Compare that to 86% block rate for GPT-4o, 64% for Gemini.
So you could easily manipulate it for bad stuff.
Researchers showed you could get it to generate instructions for money laundering, malware. It points to a serious neglect of safety alignment compared to competitors.
Okay, with security that bad, the privacy question becomes even more urgent. Where does my data go? Is efficiency the only cost, or is privacy the hidden price?
That's the massive concern regulators and experts have globally. Could DeepSeek just be a giant data vacuum for entities in China?
What does their privacy policy say?
It's explicit about collecting a lot. Account info, all your prompts and the model's replies, device data, network data, IP address, approximate location, and even keystroke patterns or rhythms.
Keystroke patterns, that sounds incredibly invasive, way beyond typical Western AI providers. And storing it all in China. What does that mean practically?
That keystroke patterns bit is worrying, yeah? Potential for unique identification. And storing data in the PRC puts it under Chinese national security laws.
Meaning the government can demand access?
Yes, potentially compelling data sharing with state agencies, possibly without the transparency or due process common elsewhere. Plus, there are documented technical links, like the login page code connects to China Mobile. That's a state-owned telecom, banned in the U.S. due to military ties and security risks.
Okay, that's concerning.
Very. It's why governments in Italy, Taiwan, Australia, South Korea, U.S. agencies, they've banned or restricted DeepSeek on government devices. Clear signal of distrust. Hashtag 6.3, ethical and legal quagmire.
So beyond security and privacy, there are ethical and legal storms brewing too. More complications to this innovator image.
Big ones. These challenge the very foundation of their claims, that narrative of independent innovation, Liang's Cultural Act. It's been hit by serious allegations of IP theft.
Stealing from competitors, that would change the story significantly.
Absolutely. A U.S. House Select Committee on the CCP report concluded it's highly likely DeepSeek used unlawful model distillation by querying proprietary U.S. models, like OpenAI's, to copy their abilities, violating terms of service.
How did they allegedly do that?
The committee alleged DeepSeek staff used aliases, complex international banking, to fraudulently get accounts for this purpose. If true, their performance wasn't just homegrown innovation. It was boosted by illicitly copying rivals.
Wow. Okay. What about censorship? Are the models open or politically filtered?
Reports strongly suggest filtering. Users find the chatbot censors or refuses to discuss topics sensitive to the CCP, Tiananmen Square, Uyghurs, Taiwan, indicates alignment with state propaganda, raising worries about information manipulation.
And liability. If I use their API and get sued for IP infringement generated by the model, am I covered?
Nope. Another huge risk. Their terms of service put all liability on the user. They disclaim everything, unlike some Western competitors offering limited IP indemnification.
DeepSeek offers nothing.
Nothing. In fact, you agree to indemnify them. So if the model generates infringing content, you're holding the bag. Dangerously exposed, especially for businesses. Again, for a clear summary of these risks, check Table 4 in the notes. It shows the breadth and depth. It's a pattern, not just isolated incidents.
Okay. DeepSeek isn't just one company's story. It's a catalyst changing the whole AI game. It's tech, it's controversies. They're forcing everyone to rethink AI economics, the path to AGI, even what competitive advantage means. Let's distill the future implications.
DeepSeek's cost efficiency has fundamentally changed AI economics. No going back. By showing top performance is possible much cheaper, they've sparked a price war, forced a rethink of the cost of intelligence.
So premium pricing based just on performance gets harder to justify.
Much harder. As algorithms improve and costs fall, base model capabilities might become commoditized. The raw intelligence itself becomes less of a differentiator.
So the value shifts away from the model itself towards what you do with it and maybe how trustworthy it is.
Exactly. Value moves to applications, user experience, specialized solutions built on top. The competitive moat isn't just snarts anymore. It's integration into a trusted, secure, valuable ecosystem.
So competitors now have to sell trust as much as performance.
They have to justify higher costs. With demonstrable advantages in trust, security, reliability. That's the new battleground DeepSeek created. Trust is becoming a premium currency.
Lang Wenfeng's AGI vision drives DeepSeek. But given the hurdles, their own flaws, is that AGI goal plausible or just a dream?
Well, the vision, while huge, has a pragmatic research strategy behind it. Focusing on verifiable domains like math and coding gives concrete milestones, rigorous testing grounds.
And their RL work.
That R10 experiment, showing reasoning emerging from RL, that's a real scientific contribution. It shows complex skills can develop without massive human labeling, a novel path towards AGI.
But the challenges remain huge,
All right.
especially given their track record on safety and ethics.
Absolutely. Big challenges. Their approach still relies on scaling laws. Massive data might hit diminishing returns or model collapse. But the biggest blind spot, the apparent disregard for ethics and safety.
You can't get to true AGI without that.
I don't think so. True AGI needs alignment, safety, human values baked in. Technical brilliance isn't enough. DeepSeek seems significantly behind there, making their AGI vision technically innovative but ethically incomplete. Hashtag 7.3 recommendations for key stakeholders.
So given this dual nature, powerful but perilous, what should people do? Developers, businesses, investors?
Different strategies for different players. For developers, it's a huge opportunity. Low-cost, high-performance APIs, especially for reasoning and code. Access capabilities that used to be super expensive, great for experimenting, prototyping.
But with a big warning label.
Massive warning label. Be acutely aware of the security risks, the lack of legal protection. Treat it as a powerful but fundamentally untrusted component. Build your own safeguards around it. Don't expose sensitive data to the public API.
Okay, use it carefully. Shield yourself. What about big companies, enterprises with high security needs?
For them, using the public API with sensitive data, unacceptable risk. Breaches, weak protection, data in China. Just know. The only potentially viable path is self-hosting the open-weight models.
Running it entirely on their own infrastructure.
Exactly. In a secure, isolated, tightly controlled environment. Full control over data, network, security, mitigates the worst risks, but demands thorough risk assessment, constant monitoring, non-negotiable.
And for investors, competitors, what's the lesson?
The big lesson. Algorithmic efficiency is a more powerful moat than just capital. Outspending isn't a guaranteed win anymore. Competitors need to justify higher costs with trust, better security, privacy, reliability.
So investors should look beyond just funding rounds and model size.
Yes. Look at the intelligence of the design, the efficiency. We're seeing a market split. Trusted, high-cost integrated providers and low-cost, high-performance, untrusted component providers like DeepSeek. The competition is increasingly about trust. Hashtag outro.
So where does that leave us, DeepSeek? Undeniably a profound disruption in AI history. Its legacy is complicated. It changed the game technologically, economically, but it's also this stark cautionary tale. Powerful tools, a new efficiency paradigm, but yeah, with a heavy price. Not in dollars maybe, but in trust.
It's a monumental case study, really. Shows the complexities of tech development now. That unpaid debt of trust, the security lapses, privacy issues, ethical questions. It hangs over their achievements.
They solved the hard tech problems of performance.
But failed, or didn't even seem to try sometimes, to solve the equally hard problems of building a secure, trustworthy platform. Deployment outpaced safety, left users exposed.
The smartest model isn't always the wisest choice.
Exactly. True. Sustainable AI progress needs balance. Performance, efficiency, and the non-negotiables. Security, privacy, trust.
So as you, our listener, navigate this incredible technology, weighing the opportunities and the risks, the question becomes, how much performance and cost saving are you willing to trade for security, privacy, trust? What truly defines the cutting edge? Raw power, clever engineering, or maybe unwavering integrity? This has been The Deep Dive.